I'm Jim Parquet, and welcome back to VPX Baseball Training. And today we're going to talk to you about your leg kick in your delivery, right? So as a former Major League pitcher, being the stature I was, I really had to concentrate a lot on my form and mechanics and how that affected the pitch down at the plate, right? So I'm going to jump up onto our mound here. We're at VPX headquarters here. So this is our lab, and I'm going to start talking to you about your leg kick, right? It doesn't really matter too much about your height, so much as matters about where your counterbalances are, right? A counterbalance is going to be your left, right, on the upper half, and then your lower half, left and right. And your body works like this. There truly isn't one point in your delivery that's actually a balance point. There's a center of balance throughout your delivery, and what you're trying to accomplish is basically take all of this movement, right, as we're going, and find a center of balance through the counterbalancing, okay? So for lack of better terms, if I get more on my backside, then what's going to happen as I move down is I'm going to get this way, and I've got to move forward in order to counterbalance, because as I move down slope, I'm going to want to do this, which is the equal and opposite of a counterbalance, okay? So ultimately speaking, on my leg kick, make sure that my counterbalances are proportionate, meaning when I come up, the more that I'm hunched, okay? So I'm going to give you this view. The more that I'm hunched, the more that it's going to take me this way. The more that I'm straight up or leaning back, the more it's going to take me this way, trying to be as tall as I can with a straight line from head to toe. Some guys like to do this and bend down on their back knee, right? They bend on their back knee, and what that does is causes me to spring, which is the opposite reaction. So again, in your leg kick, you want to be as tall as you can, straight line from your head to your toe. Now the height can vary depending upon how tall you are, your athletic build, all of your muscular response. For me, I'm a little shorter. I'm about 5'10", about $180, and I like a higher leg kick because what that does is it keeps me tucked and ready to coil into my foot strike and drive down the slope, okay? So first things first, stand tall as you can, okay? The second thing is I want to make sure as a lefty, I'm pointing not towards the bag, first base, I'm pointing towards where the first baseman plays. What that does is creates great spine torque, fulcrum leverage, and when I come out, I'm going to be able to lead better with my front hip and drive down slope, but more importantly, stay on top or on top of my back hip and ride my back hip into my foot strike, which is important. Because ultimately speaking, guys who are like this, a lot of times on coil, and they open up with the gate, because the first movement is going to be you're wanting to do this. Second movement is you're going to get top heavy, because as pitchers, we know we got to get that fastball by that guy or put some velo on it. So from here, I'm like, okay, I'm good, and then I really want to get up on it. Our mindset changes, and then we go after it. That's where we create problems. See how I'm top heavy? Energy loads have basically dissipated. You want to ultimately try to keep your energy loads as concentrated here, 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 all the way down into your foot strike. So for a better example of that, think of a spring. You're going to coil your spring and keep it coiled as long as you can into your foot strike. The guy who uncoils it at the foot strike is usually the one who throws it the hardest, right? So in review, stand tall, point towards where the first baseman plays, their position. Or if I'm a righty, right, this is third base, and I'm going to point to where the third baseman plays his position to stay coiled and create more energy loading and potential to unload, right? And then the last portion of your leg kick is going to be this. Making sure that my counterbalance here, which is my ankle, is not out, in too much. It's basically hanging. What that does, now watch what happens to get back into balance as I go here. It's going to push my head back if I'm throwing at you. If I'm right here and I go underneath, it's going to pull me this way, which gets me out of direction. So as long as I can keep my heel underneath my knee, for the most part, it'll be a little variance, then I'm balanced, I'm coiled, and I'm ready to get after it, right? So here we go. Stand tall, boom, coil, point at the position player, right here at the corner, and then I'm gonna have a good counterbalance, which is this right here, and then I'm gonna come out. Now let's bring the camera back behind me. I'm gonna show you kind of the differences here, right? So I'm gonna give you a situation where I am going to be hunched and not have the straight line, and you'll see how the ball comes out. So I'm gonna stand tall right here and do it correct. Stand tall, straight line, chest out. Now I'm gonna go. Okay? I'll give you one more like that. Sean Taunt down here is an NCAA baseball coach working with us, okay? Again, stand tall, straight line, go. Okay? So for the most part, you can see it's directional. Watch when I'm not that way. So I'm gonna do what a lot of guys do, which is this. They might be tall, but they're here. You gotta get underneath it. So what that does is it gives me a tendency to be to lower my point of release and the plane of work up top on my arm stroke, as well as it gets me underneath. I have more of a tendency to get underneath, which if I'm underneath the ball, then I'm gonna get sideways on it. Watch again. I'm gonna get here, this is correct, this isn't. I mean, I'm exaggerating it, and you notice when I'm coiling on here, I'm gonna have to back my upper half a little back, and then, okay? Now even if I threw the ball low, go ahead and get down there. If I threw the ball low here, watch what happens. Okay? That's not low. We try to get it low. Okay? That pitch compared to staying tall. You see the difference. You see the difference on the two. One, it looks like a guy is throwing the pitch from a cliff above me. The other one is I'm pushing the ball through, right? Push. Okay? And good playing. All right? Here's the next one. If I'm not coiled, watch what happens. So this would be coiled. We're playing where the corner position, pointing where the corner position is played, right? So this would be coiled. Now I lead with my hip. Okay? Again, watch what happens here. I'm coiled, and I'll lead with my hip. One more like that. Coiled, lead with the hip. All right? Now here is if I'm not coiled and I'm pointing at the bag, third base or first base. Bag. Here's what happens when you do that and you fly open too early, you swing open with the gate, or you allow all the energy forces to ultimately dissipate. Again. Okay? I'll go in slow motion here and show you what's happening. Right here. This is called drag arm. This is called pulling the ball through. Reduction of everything, not very good. If I'm coiled, lead with the hip. Right? Boom. Right? Compared to this. Big difference. From here, I can get up on you. Now ultimately my front foot isn't just going to land and we're going to have a pause, but this is how it'll work. Coiled, hip. It's better timing on your arm. Coiled, hip. Okay? Not coiled, incorrect. Right here. See how flat I get. The last portion is the counterbalance on the lower portion of the leg. This would be correct, built underneath my knee to keep me tall and underneath my hips. Okay? Again, underneath right here. Okay? Now if I get out with it, which pushes me back, I have to do too much work to get back into it. Okay? Again, what I'm having to do is come back around. Now if I get it underneath, because you see a lot of guys like this, it's going to get me this way. That feels balanced. I'm not actually trying to do that. Watch again. Here. I feel like I'm going this way, or I feel like I have to do too much to get directional. So, proper way, balance underneath. Improper way, out. I feel like my arm is this way on that, and in. When it comes in, I feel like I'm like this, going this way, right? Ultimately speaking, Sean, what do you see?
You get this way, or hunched over, or open. I can see your hand on the side of the spin is this way, which is taken out. Plane is taken away. Velo, pitch quality, because everything's just falling this way. It's like you're not directing where the ball's going. You're just being forced to pull it this way.
Let's bring that camera over here. I'm going to show you the front view of what a hitter sees. Okay? Because at the end of the day, everybody, right here. Yeah, right here. Right here. I'm not going to throw it. Okay? Cool. So, at the end of the day, you bring it up. Come on. Right there. Okay? Now, at the end of the day, we can all talk about mechanics, movement, all the greatest and latest and that kind of stuff, but it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it matters what that hitter is seeing. Is he reacting, and how is he reacting to your pitch, right? I don't think that there's a bad mechanic or a good mechanic. What I'm trying to do is make you efficient, get you to do less work in order to hit your spots and create velo and quality behind your pitches, right? So if I'm going to not be coiled, I'm going to get out here, and this is what the hitter sees. Boom. So I can see your breaking ball before you throw it, your fastball, your changeup. If I stay coiled and lead with my hip, which causes me to lead with my hip, I don't see nothing, right? Even if I'm early with my arm stroke here, boom, that's balanced. This would not be balanced, because then it's going to pull me here. This is balanced, and that's why you see for the last 100 years, power pitchers are in this position right here. Boom. Because they're leading with their hip coiled, getting right here, okay? Second portion, if I get too rounded, as Sean said, it's that way. See everything. If I'm good counterbalance, I'm not going to see anything. Even again, if I'm an early arm stroke kind of guy, boom. You can't really see it too much, okay? And then the last one would be making sure that I stay tall and I'm not hunched. Because hunch gets me around, you're going to see it open. If I'm straight, tall, I can work down through the zone. Ultimately speaking, this is one portion of your delivery that's going to help you out tremendously, and we'll go from there. Thank you for joining us.